All right, welcome back, everybody, to LexTalk, exploring English and linguistics right here in Thailand.
You got it.
Season 4, Episode 2, can you believe it?
Time flies when you're having fun,
It
right?
really does, especially when we're diving deep into such fascinating topics. And for all you dedicated educators, supportive parents, and of course our amazing English language enthusiasts, well, you're in for a treat today because we're tackling a question that we get asked all the time.
Oh, yeah, this one comes up a lot.
What are the best language learning apps out there, specifically for Thai speakers who want to master English?
Definitely a hot topic these days. Everyone's looking for that extra edge, that convenient way to boost their skills.
So true. But before we jump into that, a quick shout out to our amazing Lex Talk family. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to us on all the platforms. You can find us on our website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Just search for Lex Talk Podcast. That's with an E, not an A.
We want to make sure you never miss a single deep dive.
Absolutely. All right, let's get down to business. Why is it that these language learning apps have become such a go-to resource, particularly for Thai learners of English?
Well, think about it. The smartphone penetration rate here in Thailand, especially those bustling urban areas, it's over 90%.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. And it means mobile learning is incredibly accessible. You could literally learn anywhere, anytime.
Like squeezing in a quick lesson on your commute or while waiting for your coffee.
Exactly. It really fits into the rhythm of modern life, right? And it's not just about convenience. These apps put learners in the driver's seat. They can study at their own pace on their own schedule.
Which is a game changer for people who maybe can't commit to traditional classes or need something a little more flexible.
Absolutely. And the best part is, these apps, they're not just digital textbooks. The really good ones, they've got these amazing features that actually make learning, dare I say, fun.
Okay, spill the beans. What kind of features are we talking about?
Well, a lot of them have instant feedback mechanisms. So if you make a mistake, you know right away and can correct it on the spot. That's super helpful for solidifying those concepts.
Like having a personal tutor right there in your pocket.
Exactly. And then there's gamification. Points, badges, leaderboards, all that good stuff. It turns learning into a bit of a game, which can be really motivating, especially for younger learners.
It's like leveling up your English skills, and I think one of the biggest pluses is the exposure to natural-sounding English.
Oh, for sure. A lot of these apps use authentic dialogues and real-life scenarios. It's not just textbook English. It's how people actually speak.
Okay, so we've got a good sense of why these apps are so popular. Now let's get specific. From your research, what are some of the top-tier apps that you'd recommend, especially for our Thai listeners?
All right, well, let's start with a classic, one that almost everyone's heard of, Duolingo.
Ah, yes, the one with the little green owl. What makes it such a good starting point, especially for beginners or those at a pre-intermediate level?
Well, it's super user-friendly. The lessons are short, they're bite-sized, and they've got that gamified approach that I mentioned. It feels more like playing a game than studying, which can be great for those who are just starting out.
Keeps things fun and engaging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And importantly for Thai speakers, Duolingo has a Thai English interface. So it's not just about learning English, it's about having that extra support in your native language as you're getting comfortable with a new one.
Makes the transition a little smoother, right?
Totally. And Duolingo is really good at building up that fundamental vocabulary, those everyday words and phrases that you need to get by. They also do a good job of introducing basic grammar concepts in a simple and easy to understand way.
But are there any limitations? What should learners keep in mind as they progress beyond those early stages?
Well, as you get to that intermediate level, you might find that the grammar explanations in Duolingo aren't quite as in-depth as you need them to be.
So it's great for those building blocks, but might not be enough on its own for more advanced learners.
Exactly. It's a fantastic foundation, but you'll likely need to supplement it with other resources as you progress.
Makes sense. So what would you recommend for learners who are looking to refine their pronunciation or maybe focus specifically on speaking?
Well, if pronunciation is your top priority, then ELSA Speak is definitely worth checking out. It's powered by AI, artificial intelligence, specifically designed to help you perfect that English accent and speak with more clarity.
AI in a language learning app, that's pretty impressive. How does that actually work for the user?
Okay, so imagine this. ELSA listens to you speak, and it analyzes your pronunciation in detail. It looks at things like intonation, so how your voice rises and falls, the rhythm of your speech, and even those individual sounds that can be tricky for non-native speakers.
It's like having a super detailed speech coach in your pocket.
Exactly. And based on that analysis, it gives you personalized feedback and targeted exercises. It pinpoints those areas where your pronunciation might differ from a native speaker and helps you bridge that gap.
Sounds incredibly helpful. Any specific examples of how it might benefit Thai learners in particular?
Well, one common challenge for Thai speakers is differentiating between the R and L sounds.
Yeah, those can be tricky.
ELSA has specific exercises designed to help you hear and produce those sounds accurately. It's all about those subtle differences that can make a big difference in your overall clarity.
Amazing. Now, what about learners who are more focused on reading and listening? How can they expand their vocabulary and comprehension skills?
Okay, so for those who are intermediate to advanced learners and they're really looking to boost their reading and listening, LingQ is a fantastic option.
Yeah.
It's basically this huge digital library of English content, articles, ebooks, even podcast transcripts, all sorts of stuff.
Wow, a real treasure trove of materials.
And it's got this really cool feature, instant word lookup. So let's say you're reading and you come across a word you don't know, you just tap on it and boom, the definition pops right up. You can even save it for later review.
That sounds super convenient, especially for building vocabulary organically.
It is. And what makes LingQ even better is that you can choose content based on your interests. So if you're into business English or travel, or maybe just want to brush up on casual conversations, you can find materials that you actually enjoy.
That's key for staying motivated. It's got to be something you're interested in.
Exactly. LingQ is all about immersing yourself in authentic English content. And they even have this cool feature where you can import your own stuff, like YouTube videos or podcast episodes.
Really personalize your learning experience. So we've talked about pronunciation, reading, listening. What about grammar? Any recommendations for those who want a more structured approach to mastering those rules?
Absolutely. For those who want to really dive into the nitty-gritty of grammar and build a strong foundation, Hello English is a great option. It's specifically designed for Asian language learners, and it's got a heavy emphasis on interactive grammar exercises.
So it's not just about memorizing rules, it's about actually using them in context.
Exactly. Hello English makes grammar more engaging and practical. It also has a good selection of vocabulary that's aligned with the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It's a way to measure your language proficiency, and it can be helpful if you're aiming for specific language goals.
That's really useful to know, especially for learners who are working towards exams or certifications. Okay, now let's talk about vocabulary. Are there any apps that stand out for making vocabulary learning more visual and memorable?
Memrise is the king when it comes to that. It's all about combining visual learning with real-life examples. So you're not just seeing a word in a definition, you're seeing and hearing how it's used by native speakers in short video clips.
That sounds like it would really help learners understand those subtle nuances of meaning and how words are actually used in everyday conversations.
It does. And Memrise uses spaced repetition. It's a clever technique that helps you remember words long-term. The app basically quizzes you on words at specific intervals, just when you're about to forget them, which reinforces your learning.
Like a brain workout for your vocabulary.
Exactly. Plus, the native speaker videos, they're not just about the language, they give you a glimpse into the culture as well.
So memorize for vocabulary that sticks and a bit of cultural immersion too. Now, what about learners who are prepping for those big English exams or maybe want to engage with more academic content?
Well, for them, the BBC Learning English app is a must-have. It's packed with high-quality, real-world content, like news reports, articles, discussions on current events.
So it's ideal for those who want to stay up to date and improve their comprehension of more complex language.
Exactly. And it's not just about reading. They've got podcasts, grammar lessons, even video quizzes to test your understanding. It's a great resource for anyone preparing for IELTS, TOEFL, or even just wanting to boost their academic English skills.
It sounds like a real all-rounder for serious learners. Now, we know that not everyone can afford to subscribe to multiple paid apps. Are there any free options or combinations that you'd recommend, especially for our Thai listeners?
Absolutely. One of the best free resources out there is the dynamic duo of YouTube and Google Translate.
Now, those are two names that almost everyone recognizes.
YouTube is a goldmine of English learning content, and so much of it is completely free. For Thai learners, I'd recommend looking for channels that are specifically designed for English language learners, even better if they offer bilingual subtitles in both Thai and English.
That's a great tip. Seeing the text in both languages side by side can really help with comprehension, especially for beginners.
Absolutely. And for reading practice in the real world, Google Translate's camera feature is a lifesaver. You can just point your phone's camera at any English text like a menu or a sign, and it'll translate it for you instantly.
That's so useful for navigating everyday situations. Any specific YouTube channels that you'd recommend?
Speak English with Mr. Duncan is a classic. He's got a really engaging style, and his videos are great for all levels. The official BBC Learning English channel is also fantastic. Lots of high-quality content there.
So many amazing options. So with all these great apps out there, how can a learner really figure out which one or combination of apps is the best fit for their specific needs and goals?
It all comes down to what you want to achieve. If your main focus is speaking, ALSA Speak or even Google's AI tools are great choices. If grammar is your priority, Hello English and the BBC Learning English app are solid options. For vocabulary building, Memrise and Duolingo are fantastic starting points. And for those who want to boost their reading and listening, LingQ and YouTube are your go-to resources.
That's a really clear breakdown. So it's about choosing the right tool for the job, so to speak.
Exactly. And we'd even encourage learners to think about using a combination of apps. Maybe start with Duolingo for the basics, then add in LSA Speak for pronunciation, and maybe use LingQ for more advanced reading and listening practice.
A multi-pronged approach to really round out those English skills. Now, even with all these fantastic resources available, are there any common challenges that Thai learners might encounter when using these apps?
There are a few things to keep in mind. Some apps might not have great support for the Thai script, which can be frustrating for learners who are just starting out.
Yeah, having that native language support can be really helpful in those early stages.
Absolutely. Another potential pitfall is over-reliance on translation features. While translations can be helpful, constantly relying on them can actually prevent you from truly immersing yourself in the language.
So it's about finding that balance, using translation strategically, but also pushing yourself to think and process information in English.
Exactly. And lastly, staying motivated can be a challenge with any kind of self-study. If an app isn't engaging or relevant to your interests, it's easy to lose steam. So it's really important to choose apps that you enjoy using and that align with your learning goals.
That's great advice. Now, for all the educators and parents out there who are supporting Thai learners on their English journey, what are your key takeaways regarding the effective use of these apps?
Well, first and foremost, guidance is key. Help your students or children navigate that overwhelming sea of apps and choose one or two that are a good fit for their level and goals. Encourage them to use the apps regularly and consistently. And maybe even think about integrating app-based activities into your classroom lessons or home learning routines. It's all about making it a part of their learning journey.
So, to sum it all up, what's the most important message for our listeners today regarding language learning apps?
Well, these apps are powerful tools. They offer incredible convenience, engaging activities, and access to a wealth of resources. But they're not magic bullets. Their effectiveness depends on the learner's commitment, clear goals, and consistent effort. And whenever possible, having that guidance and support from teachers or mentors can make a world of difference.
Beautifully said. So whether you're a teacher searching for the perfect app for your students or a learner eager to explore new ways to enhance your English skills, remember, there's an app out there for everyone. And on that note, get ready for our next deep dive. We'll be exploring the amazing world of YouTube and how it's revolutionized language learning, especially with all those free lessons and authentic English content.
It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. So don't forget to follow LexTalk on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and our website. And as always,
Let's talk, let's learn.
let's LexTalk.